Hey there, we'll be starting here in a little while. Getting the timer, you can see. Okay, why don't you figure? There we go. The chat open right there. Right. Another beautiful day. Actually, it's a little cloudy outside right now, but it's a beautiful day. Let's see. Zoom window. There it is. Let's see. You were there and you were there. So if you're on Facebook and you want to chat with me, uh, should be able to go to chat.restream.io FB. Just trying to copy this and like post it, but see. Bam. All right. So yeah, if you're on Facebook, hopefully that stream dropped down into your deal. All right. I went to all the channels, so it's up there. But if you're on Facebook, you want to be able to chat live during this live streaming, click that link, authorize restream to just show your face and your name so I know who I'm talking to. And then we can have a much better conversations because it's much better if we're having a conversation about your health instead of me just saying, do what you're told. Because that's not what we're about. We're not doing the whole do what you're told. You gotta tell the whole like do what you need to. Sometimes somebody tells you like something and you decide for yourself. Do what you decide is best for you, whatever that is. It's your call, your body, your life, your health, be you. So we got about a minute left. I'm gonna learn how to do music and I got some video stuff I want to like set up to play like in the future. But right now I just got a couple moments. I'm gonna take a breath. I mean, honestly, I like to just take a couple moments and relax before I do things. You know, it's not something I probably talk about nearly as much, but definitely the meditation part, taking a moment to just focus and relax and be present. It's really important, like before you like jump into pretty much everything you're doing, like just check in with where you're at. Well, my brother's calling me, but I'm gonna have to call him back like when we're done. So we got a couple more seconds. Woo! All right. All right. I hope I'm as entertaining to you as I am to me. So, all right, timer's up. Bam. Let's see if we can make that go away. Timer. Doo-doo-doo. Close the timer. Sweet. All right. All right. All right. All right. I like this. This is good. Okay. Where did my, there they are. Just trying to find my controls so that like I could share screens and whatever else I might need to do here today. So, welcome back to day 4. Day 4. We've been together 4 days already. All right, super excited. Day 4. And if you haven't caught day 1, 2, 3, and you're just jumping in here on day 4, if you don't remember, you watched the videos once, but you got caught up in life, you haven't watched the replays. Like, okay, so day 1 talked about me overcoming my epilepsy when the drugs didn't work. And we talked about the ADAPT protocol that allowed me to go through, that will allow you to go through and make choices and help you overcome, to grow, to gain new levels, to level up. So that's the level up process. Day 2 talked about the things you do to yourself. We brought up meds RX, meditation, exercise, sleep and diet, relationship, and supplementation. So we covered the meditation, covered exercise, sleep and diet, and how, these things like they can all be parts of your triggers, setting a routine, a framework like we did on day 1 by using the EPSI app, which I think is amazing, or downloading one of the other fillable forms from the Epilepsy Foundation that I found for you, and I put in a little one pager. So be more than happy to send you out the resources. Just go to join the challenge so that you can be officially part of this. And I know where to email you the resources at. So day 3, that was yesterday. We talked about people not letting you do what you want to, relationships, how they can make or break you, how they can be a big part of the triggers in your life. People supporting you makes it a whole lot easier to heal and recover. Sometimes you just gotta, discover like you got too many frenemies. It's time to like go work on you, because always, you want a support group, you want loving people around you. And so we talked about that yesterday, and today it's, we're saying supplementation following the meds RX, but we're going to talk about everything you do when you leave the door. Having seizures when you leave the door, your triggers, when you step out the door. That's why we're doing the progress. We're like, hey, look, this is how I was able to take control of my epilepsy, without drugs, just simply allowing my body to naturally heal, which it does. It's amazing. Like your body, if you let it and you can put yourself in the right state, it will heal. And meditation has been a huge part of that. So, and the rest of everything else, it just builds onto each other. It's not like, one thing gives you a seizure sometimes. Oftentimes it's a series of events. Sometimes that's why it's a little more difficult, because you got to trace back like what kicked it off. Like when did you first started feeling off? And then like what did you do like to help get back to a homeostasis or a state of like balancing out the yin yang. We know we always go through cycles. Sometimes they feel a little extreme, sometimes they feel a little more balanced. Most of the time we're somewhere, on the cycle, and we're not always on the same cycle, but there are cycles. Obviously there's systems in our lives, whether we're aware of them or not, that keep us in place. And if you go take the public transportation system, they've got system in place to get you from A to B where you don't have to drive. But sometimes it can be really hard riding on the bus. There's like too crowded, too many people, nowhere to sit. Like sometimes you can just have a seizure because you're like standing there, dear life, trying not to fall down while the bus driver's like doing his thing. It's not bus driver's fault. I mean, traffic sucks. I mean, people like cut the bus off all the time. So mad respect to the bus drivers out there, but it's a spot you might find yourself like having a seizure waiting at the bus stop or the bus. You could have one on the bus. Like I said, there's too many people. It's maybe some buses are cleaner than others. Sometimes just it's smelling bad or being dirty will trigger you. Um, these are, you just have to know, you experience it. You want to go out and explore your life. Like, you're not going to know until you go and you do this explore. So you go explore what your life is all about. So I actually came up with an explore protocol, which helps. Like, so when you're doing things like going out into the world, whether it's riding a bus, whether it's catching an Uber, whether you're driving yourself, a friend, family member, loved one, somebody who's super awesome, a stranger. Sometimes strangers will help you way more than somebody you know. It's a sad, hard truth, but you have some people that are just better equipped at helping you. And this is why you need to be better equipped at helping yourself, because there won't always be somebody around to like save you. At some point, the relationships in our lives are going to change. We have no control over when people move states. We have no control over, when they die or relationships fall apart. It's not always like 100% something that you want and that you're in control of, but these things like happen, and that's why it's important to have this balance going on everywhere you go, and starting with the framework of like, what's going on with you? What are you doing to yourself? What are you letting people do to you? And then like, what is the world when you step out that door? What is it doing to you? You gotta explore. You gotta explore. Right? You go explore. You go find new things you explore. So in the process of exploring, you find an entrance. If you're gonna go explore a cave, you explore a park, a walk, a grocery store, the doctor's office, a concert, whatever, you're going to go explore. There's an entrance. There's an entrance in, there's an exit out. There's an entrance. So you always got to know where the entrance is. You got to like, how do I get into this place? It's important. If you don't know like how to get into some place and you show up and you're running late, you're gonna be freaking out, and you can have seizures like just in the being frantic, like in the process of trying to focus, but not seeing what you need to see. I've had this trouble plenty of times, like just driving to a doctor's appointment in a new location because they changed my doctors, and then I don't know where to park, or nothing's quite what I expected it to be. And then when things aren't going right, and then sometimes it's just the fact that you're trying to pay attention to all the cars around you and like find a spot that you can actually stop at. And sometimes there's just too much going on. So if you've gone like the day before, sometimes that's nice. You go in advance to a place to see, stake it out, check it out, be like, all right, well, this is what traffic's looking like, this is what parking's looking like. If you've got a plan, it makes it a whole lot easier on that one. So you've got the entrance, right? You've got X marks the spot. So when you're exploring, you got your location of where you want to be. What's the treasure? What are you trying to get out of this little exploration that you're doing, with this adventure out into the world? It's scary, scary. Sometimes the world can be pretty scary, especially when you're not sure, like if you're ready to be out there, or if you're what if you don't know your triggers, if you haven't figured out like what you can do for yourself, if you don't know like how people affect you. It gets a lot scarier when you're going out into the world, but like if you've got an idea, it's like, hey, look, I can do this protocol, I can follow these steps that Alba is telling me. I try to make it as really easy and really simple, so that all you got to do is like, just do the work. I can't do it for you. Just do the work, and you'll like level up. And each time you level up, you get to do more. Get to do so much more. I remember when I was trapped, like in these apartment, I was trapped, unable to like go places. Like I wanted more. I wanted more. So I wanted to explore. I found an entrance, which was also an exit. I found a way out the door, and I wanted to go explore out the door. I wanted to explore. And I didn't really want to go anywhere, except as I just knew that in order to get better, I needed to follow the previous steps. I needed to go do some exercise and go on for a walk outside. Like if I couldn't walk outside, how was I going to explore more? So I went and I had a map. I figured out this route. X marks the spot, right? It's actually here. I'm going here. I'm going to walk around this route. I'm going to come back, and then you make a plan. You're like, all right, I'm going to do it at this time. I'm going to do it this many times a day. you know and then I went out and did it. And then of course problems come up, and you learn from them. So You've got your entrance and your exit, which sometimes, new ending is an ending is a new beginning. So an entrance, an exit, you got your treasure, your X marks the spot where you want to go. You got your plan on how to get there. Same thing, going to the doctor's office. You Google Map, Apple Map. They're like, dude, I got your plan. We're going to plan to take you this way. And then you got to learn whether that was the right plan or not. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody's Google Map, if it's not yours, Google Map, Apple Map, like reroute you because there's a car accident, or you could save 5 minutes or 3 minutes, or $20 by switching to Geico. I mean, whatever the case is, I mean, for real. So you learn, like, and they're just like, all right, you got to make mistakes. Or like, oh, we weren't right. This isn't exactly right anymore. Like things have changed. Now we're going to pivot. We're going to learn from our mistake. And we're going to say, hey, look, now this is the right direction to go. So you got Google Maps, Apple, Siri, whatever is telling you this is now the new best way to get to where you want to be, to your X marks the spot. So once you learn that, like it orients, you're like, oh, okay, you're here, you're actually going the way you want to, or you can decline it. So you orient about like what you want. You're like, all right, well, maybe I would still rather go this way, even though it says there's a car accident, because I like this route better. Maybe you don't want to believe that like Siri or Google has the answer. You're gonna learn, like, but you don't know because you can't go the other way and test the experience out. But that's why you orient on an outcome. And sometimes you just got to go with the flow. It's like once you orient, you like rest, take a deep breath, get prepared. So rest after being frustrated, after we get frustrated in the whole process of making mistakes or things changing and not being the same way. And these things like change drives people crazy. It's hard, like when things like aren't the way that we expect them to be. And that's why it's important to follow a little plan, to keep your brain like knowing you're like, okay, when things fall south, like this is what I'm gonna do. Because if you don't know in advance, like it's so much harder to get over things. Usually the documentation throughout this whole process. When you're outside in the world, you want to document. You're like, all right, well, I took a cab, I took a bus, I drove myself, I went for a long walk off a short pier. Please don't take a long walk off a short pier. Like swimming is honestly one of the things that scares the hell out of me. Like I'm seriously worried about having a seizure in the ocean. I love water. I went for a walk on the beach last week. I really want to go again, but I go, it takes a couple hours, I'm sore. It's nice just to walk with your feet in the water. It feels good to me. But the cold used to be a trigger, a seizure. I'd have a problem. I used to not be able to get in the water without having a wetsuit on, which is why sometimes you got to put armor on when you're going to go out into the environment to protect yourself. Like when it's raining, if you don't like being wet, if you don't like being touched by the rain, like, and it gives you a seizure, like clearly you either gonna not go outside or you're gonna wear protective gear like a rain vest and get an umbrella and maybe some galoshes and whatever else it is that you feel like you need to do. You get a poncho. Some people do ponchos. So it makes sense that when you go out into the world, that you're going to try to find the best way to protect yourself that you can. And that way you can manage your seizures because you're like, all right, well, I protected myself. Like me, like I always have these headphones. These noise canceling headphones are the most amazing thing ever. Like I swear to the Bobs, these are amazing. They are godsend. The ability to like block out all the extra noises that are going on. Sometimes it gets difficult for me when I'm out, like at a restaurant, trying to talk to people. There's too many people talking around you, and it's just so much noise, and you can't like block out what's going on. And sometimes either it's too much noise, you're focusing too hard on the person, sitting next to you or across from you. Like these things could just overwhelm you, and they can trigger you. I learned for me that I could put an earplug in the right ear. I have more of a problem on my right eye and right ear, but we're all a little different. So for me, this is like would work. But you got to figure out for you. I even discovered that some places that are loud, you could put 2 earplugs in. It dims a lot of the noise out, and then you can, ask the person to talk a little bit louder, and they can still probably hear you and not have to worry about it. But it really helps if you've got the armor. If you're worried about falling down outside, like I'd love to ride a skateboard again. I'd love to ride a motorcycle. That would be amazing to me. I'm scared. Scared, like for real. Like, what if I have a seizure, like on one of these things, like that aren't, they're dangerous for people without epilepsy. Like, I don't want the light shining on my face. I have a really hard time. Like, if it hits me, it hits me. Like, I just kind of accept the fact that that might happen. But as I work on myself, as I go through this process, it makes it a lot easier for me. It'll make it a lot easier for you. Oh my Lord, it makes it so much easier. But documenting, going out, doing the exploring, engaging with the world. I mean, that's the next step after you rest and you're like ready. Rest, ready, take a deep breath, go, you engage, you do the thing, you go talk to the doctor, you go see the chiropractor, you go see the acupuncturist, you go grocery shopping, you go to a concert with your friends, whatever it is, like engage. And sometimes you got to go back through this whole process. You're like, all right, I'm done engaging. Like, what do I got to do? You got to go back to explore. How do I explore out of here? Sometimes you want to know that. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow, but it's the same thing. Like, you got to find the entrance out. Anytime you're going into public, there's an entrance, there's an exit. Sometimes it's just walking in your front door. Now you're out of the public. You're back into your personal environment, just dealing with people around you and what you do yourself. So sometimes you just got to go out for short periods of time. For me, when I was doing these walks in the beginning, like before I ran away from LA in 2017, I'd go walk around the block, and every time I got to this spot, I'd have a seizure. I get confused, I get lost, I don't know where I'm at, and it was always by the school, and I always recognized it was at the same spot, but I had this planned out. And because I had a plan, I knew I was able to tell myself, I was like, I know you don't know where you're at, but if you keep walking, you're gonna get where you're supposed to go. Because this is what you do, this is the route you have, this is how you do it. And if I had a problem, I could just look it back up on Google Maps and be like, all right, where am I at? Apple Maps, whatever, look it up. Say, all right, take me home. You can hit the button and be like, hey, Siri, open maps and take me home. Siri's doing that to me right now. She's like, yes, I'll do it. She listens. So, if you're on Microsoft Windows, it's Cortana. If you're on I don't know what they do the one for Google. I'm sorry. Google? I think it's just Google. You just like Google it. So it's everything's Google. But funny thing, sidetrack, but Cortana is actually the AI from the video game Halo that like Microsoft has, and they got a TV show on Paramount. So just crazy stuff to find out in the world. I like little random things. Sorry, I mentioned Cortana. It's kind of interesting, like how people like bring one thing from somewhere else and bring it into the world. It's like you're playing a god. You want to bring yourself back out into the world. You want to be able to do more. Sometimes it means putting a helmet on. I mean, people that ride motorcycles should be wearing a helmet. People that ride a bicycle, you should be wearing a helmet. If you've got epilepsy and you're worried about falling down and hitting your head, you should be wearing it. Just put on armor. And you can do some fun stuff with helmets. You can go all out and be as crazy as you want, or you can be super mild about it. But you gotta armor up sometimes. You gotta accept, sometimes you just need a hat, like me, where you gotta keep like the peripheral light out and down and everything shining in your face, like so that you can go out and manage. And sometimes this isn't enough for me. I gotta go with a wider brim hat. And so it's like a Farmer John kind of sun hat looking thing. I just own it. I'm like, this is what I need. I don't know if it's funny looking. I don't know if I look good today. I don't even care. I just know it works. That's how you should be about it. You're like, you know what? Like I said yesterday, you should be able to say, hey, look, I'm trying to do this. Is this going to be a safe place for me? And you should figure that one out. And then you go hang out with more people and you do this whole explore process. I mean, obviously, you figure out how do you get into their house? How do you get into their apartment complex? Sometimes, where are you going to go once you get in? What's your plan? What's the whole process? How are you going to do it? What problems come up along the way? Sometimes the buzzer doesn't work. You text them or you call them. Usually they'll come down. You just got to adapt. But if you've got a little bit of a plan, it makes it a whole lot easier to like go doing the exploring while you're documenting what you're doing, so like how the world affects you. It's You probably don't want to be out in super hot heats. There's lots of people that have seizures from being too hot or too cold. So it's important to know, like, if you're too hot, you might want to turn on an air conditioner and stay inside. You just got to know what works best for you. I found that with hot soup, I can eat hot soup and have a seizure. If it's too hot outside, I can have a seizure. I have an air conditioner that I put in the window when it gets to be like over 80 degrees here. It's supposed to be like 97 degrees in Santa Barbara in a few days or something. It's just unreal to me, like the difference in the temperatures here. But up there, like, it's usually pretty cool. So you have old people with health conditions and stuff that are struggling because it's hot, and they die. They die because they're not, they no longer have the constitution that they need to be able to survive such an extreme situation. So that's why we find balance. You get an air conditioner. Oftentimes that will definitely help out with being too hot. During the winter, most of us can have a heater. You can put on more clothes. Eventually you put on so many clothes that like you're warm. You might even get to be too hot and you gotta take some off. This usually happens during the winter. I mean, not the winter, but during the spring and the autumn. You find that you go outside, it's warmer during the middle of the day, but first thing in the morning and later in the evening, it's not as hot. It's cool. Sometimes it's downright cold, but you just had a hot day. So you got to be able to change throughout the day and be able to adapt to what's going on. And don't just be like, all right, well, the weather said it was going to be sunny. And so it's going to just, that's it. Like, oh, you got to understand sometimes winds blow through. If you live in some places like Florida, like drive for 5 minutes and it's raining. You drive for 5 minutes and it's not. You drive for 5 minutes and it's raining. You drive for 5 minutes, it's not. Like, sometimes you just got to realize that the weather is what's going on around you. I mentioned before, like, I have pressure on my brain, and I'm probably sure that many of you do too. When the barometric pressure, when the clouds are like starting to build up before it rains, that does a lot on my brain. And actually, it probably feels a little better when it starts raining because the barometric pressure starts coming down. You know, but if you don't know that this is a factor, like, most people don't talk about the effects of your environment on your epilepsy. They're really trying to talk to you about how you can take these drugs and hopefully it'll go away, which is, it's great for the people that it works for, but if are like me and that that's not been the best solution, or you're really just tired of the side effects of them, you still want to go out, you follow this format, and this is how you do it. You can go explore, you go find entrance to your next adventure. And, I'm in Mexico. Like, it took me a while. I had to make decisions to be able to get here. I realized that I can't play video games and drive. That it actually makes it a lot harder on my brain. So I had to make decisions like, all right, well, if I don't overstimulate my brain, distracting myself, I can do things that I enjoy and even the things that I need to. Sometimes you got to understand, like, maybe you just need less people around. You go to the grocery store like first thing in the morning before people are there. Or if you can't get up early enough or go late enough after people are gone, you can have them delivered to you. That you don't have to just be scared of your environment that way. But oftentimes, like, many of us want out of the house for a little bit. You got to be able to go to work. Lots of us have to work. Go to do the normal stuff of taking care of yourself. We just got to find the right way to armor up, like, before we go out and do it. Music playing like in the background. You never know. Like, some of them could be a trigger for you because there's certain sounds, certain tones, and until you like explore that avenue, you won't know until you've tried it. You want to live not afraid of life. You want to be understanding that you got options, you got choices, you got the ability to like dream big and go do things that you want, especially walking out that front door. Like, it's so awesome to be able to go somewhere other than feeling like you're trapped by yourself or trapped with the wrong people. And oftentimes, this is how, if you're having trouble, relationship trouble, you want to go out, go away from it. You want to get it out of your head, out of your mindset, and like go find something you can do that's gonna fill you with more passion or joy or just solace and hope. I love going to the beach. I love going for walks. I love hiking, just nice natural activities. But you got to be prepared for some of them. Rock climbing, I think, would be super awesome, but I would have to have somebody there with me. Jumping out of an airplane, I think that might give me a seizure, but at the same time, I would super try that. I just haven't, because how are you going to know if you don't try it? But if you try it and you do have a seizure, like, what are you going to do, like, to get back on track? So having these plans, knowing how to adapt to a situation, knowing how to use self-care as healthcare, because you are the first and last defense against what's going on with you. You are the first and last defense. It is you. You know, we can feel like the world is against us, but it's really not. The world is the world. Sometimes it's more challenging for us than others. And I know people with no arms and no legs that are out there having an amazing life. Yeah, granted, they don't have epilepsy, but they got no arms and no legs. They're having an amazing life. So you should be able to have an amazing life too, because most likely you've got majority of your appendages. It's really good. I always say I love that I have, my appendages. Like, might not always have my brain. Sometimes I've felt lost, but I've always been able to take care of myself, except for when I couldn't. When you got sick, when epilepsy started, sometimes you just don't know how to take care of yourself. And it takes a while to learn. And if you're doing this by yourself and you're in an environment that is not working with you or for you, it makes it a lot harder. And that's why you want to go explore your options. Go find something else, some other people to hang out with, some other people like you, some people, that will make you feel good about yourself. Some locations. It can just be locations going alone by yourself. I mean, I love art, so art museums are nice. I want to go hang out with people. Like, live concerts would be really awesome for the stuff I like. Well, I would probably do an outdoor concert versus an indoor concert because I think it'd just be easier for me to like manage everything because you can get further away from the stage and it's not quite as intense. But I mean, can be just, you got to know what you're doing when you go out. You got to know what you want. You got to have an entrance. You got to have an exit. You got to know that sometimes like the process of learning, the process of getting, and oftentimes the process of earning the results you want come with things not going the way that you want. They're called growing pains. So we have growing pains. We have not growing comforts, they're growing pains. Sometimes it's because you got to get out of that comfort zone. You got to say, all right, I've had enough. I'm ready for more. I'm going to go be the best version of myself, even if it is just walk around the block every day until you can do more. I did that long block. It was a big block every day for a long time until it quit getting hard. It was hard for me. Like, I have cops go by and I'd have ambulances go by and I'd be like on my knees with my hands over my ears because these are triggers for me. Like, I go out, these high pitched noises. The blue flashing light on the cops in America are like really hard. For some reason, the ones here in Mexico aren't as bad, but the ones in California are like kicking butt. So you have to realize like there's some things like that. I had my girlfriend when I was having trouble driving at the time. She took me to a doctor's appointment, and these windy roads were horrible. I was trying not to have a seizure just because I was like having car sickness. Like, I literally got out of the car when we were done, and I'm like on the floor on my in child's pose, like on my face is on the ground, like I'm curled up kind of in a ball, like face down, just trying to overcome like how hard it was and keep my like stuff in control so I could go talk to this doctor and get my breath back and my thoughts. And it was horrible. It was just, motion sickness. You can get, go outing. It's one of these things I wanted to mention before that I hadn't. And it comes especially important, like when you're out and exploring the world, is drink water. Water. Water's good for you. Like drink water. Your brain is gonna love you for drinking water. Dehydration will give you a seizure. So that's one of the reasons, like, sometimes the drinking the alcohol won't give you a seizure, but like the hangover will, or a couple days after, because you're still dehydrated and you haven't been able to get your electrolyte balance. Electrolytes help with like energy charges. So you want to make sure you're balanced out as much as you can, but drink water while you're out and about. I found for me, like when I was drinking coffee as a passenger and sometimes even as a driver, was just giving myself a seizure because it was just too much stimulation. Like I had a lot going on in my gut. I'd get nauseous like from all the car sickness stuff, and I have nausea as a one of my auras. Like I recognize sometimes I get nauseous and think I'm gonna have a seizure. I do. So that's really one of those things. Like you got to realize when you go out and do stuff, there might be signs, there might not be signs, but if you're documenting this, you're making sure that you follow your system. You're going to be able to do a whole lot more out in the world, and you're going to be able to do more in the world, and you're going to do more in the world, and eventually you'll be doing what you want. You'll be able to protect yourself. You'll be able to know like what you can and can't do. And I can't tell you like, no, you can't go and play in the rain. You got to find that out for yourself. I highly recommend staying out of like extreme wind. I recommend not having an air conditioner or a fan blowing directly on you. These things in Chinese medicine are all part of wind. Epilepsy is a wind, energetic, comes and goes. It's hard, it's difficult. Wind is the cause of 100 diseases in Chinese medicine. It doesn't mean like literally 100 diseases. It's just their way of saying a lot, a lot, a lot. So having a fan blowing on you, being outside in the wind, you might not think it, but these could actually be a trigger for you. I actually had to do some experiments with some people to show them. I wish I had these things recorded to be able to show you, but like seriously, it's amazing. Like what people don't know, what they don't realize, what they don't recognize. Because you think like I've always done this. People always done this. And you got to realize like that's not an excuse to keep doing it. You got to realize that you got to grow. You got to grow into the next level of you so that you can go from, working on yourself to having healthy relationships to engaging in the world. And it doesn't always feel like you can do one first. Sometimes you got to be engaging in the world and you're still trying to figure out you and your relationships. There's a lot of people that have challenged with relationships. I want to tell you, like, work on you. The best answer to pretty much everything in your life is being the best version of you. Be able to understand, not care what people think about it, and realize like you kind of worry about you. Who cares if people think it looks funny? Who cares if they laugh or they, make fun of you? Like people are bullies. And that's why you don't want to hang out with those people. But you got to make sure that you're safe and you're happy. Like if you need to wear a helmet, like on the shower, if you need a shower seat, do these kinds of things. Like if you want to go swimming, get somebody to go with you. Make sure somebody's watching you because it's a serious problem of people having seizures like while they're swimming. Part of it could be related to, overstrain. Part of it could be related to oxygen deficiency. There's a lot of things going on. Like, and then you're like out in the water, and if you have a seizure, nobody's there to like drag you out. Like you're gonna suffocate on water. And that leads to death, and we're trying to avoid death at all causes. So that's why we're talking about like making sure that you're prepared. You know what you want. You follow this whole protocol of explore. You know, find your entrance, find your entrance in, your exit out. Like, how am I leaving the house and where am I going in? Like, what do I want to do when I get there? What's the goal? X marks the spot. This is the gold. This is the treasure. This is the whole point of going out on your adventure into the rest of the world. It's not just to decide whether or not you can, it's to figure out how to do this the best, easiest, least painful, most proficient way so that you can do more with your day. So that you can have adventures that don't leave you feeling trapped and lonely. But if you live in a small town like I do, sometimes it's a little hard to find things to do when you walk out your door. But there's lots of activities and things that you can do. There's you can, lots of stuff that's online. You can have online friends and families and experiences. But it's always way more fun to go experience life, like I think in real life. But you gotta make sure where you're at. If you can only leave the house for an hour, work on that. Do your hour. Come back before you have a seizure. Come back. If you're like me and you could work through your seizures and keep going. I mean, it wasn't always that way. I had to build up to that, but I knew that like when I got to the point, if I didn't walk, if I didn't go explore the world, if I didn't go see what I could do and how to get stronger, like nothing would get better. Nothing was going to change in my life. And I don't want that for you either. I'm sure you've experienced that same fear that you just never know when things are going to go wrong. And it's really hard when you don't know why. It's really hard for people to help you. That's why when you go to a doctor, they do all these imaging to like try to figure out what exactly is going on with your brain. I don't really care about the imaging. I mean, I understand that you have epilepsy and that, our epilepsies are all different, but what I care about is you as a human being. Epilepsy means something different to all of us. And it shouldn't mean like prison sentence where you're trapped at home and not able to go out and explore. You're not able to engage with people that you love, where you're not able to just be happy with yourself. It can be hard, especially if nobody's been able to tell you like it's possible that this is the way that you can take back control of your life. That it's not always easy, but this is gonna be a whole lot faster if you listen to what I say than if you just like keep trying to do this over and over and over without understanding like where you're struggling at, what you can do better. And you find the things that make you feel better. It's easier to do more of what makes you feel better. And it's easier to say no to the things that make you feel horrible. Or sometimes you just got to do something and you got to schedule it based on like what your energy level is at. You know, I know my energy level stuff changes like over time. I used to love to stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd get up at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and that was great for me. I'd go out and explore the world and do whatever I needed to, and that was great. But like these days, if I was to do that, I would have so much harder time like walking out the door. I usually go to bed between 10 and midnight, and I get up between like 5 and 7, and I'm much more functional. I don't always want to walk out the door first thing in the morning, but I can. I want to go out and water my plants, like growing food. I used to have problems like because the light would hit me all crazy while I'm trying to like water my plants and take care of them and stuff. So people try to talk to me while I'm trying to focus on stuff. I could one knew I needed to get outside. I know you need to get outside. I know you need to move around. I know how much better it is just getting out the door. You know, just go play in the yard for a little bit. Just go walk around the neighborhood. Go get yourself something to eat. Um, do something fun. You know, I know it can make it a whole lot easier having somebody with you that builds you up, or at least is going to support you and make sure that they're not going to leave you or kick you while you're down. So sometimes you just want a battle buddy while you're out exploring the world. There's nothing wrong with that. But you should still be willing to go do it by yourself if you have to. Like I live alone. There's nobody here to help me. I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, pity me. I'm saying you can do this too. It may not seem like it. All it is just takes some minor changes to figure out where it is you just haven't quite gotten things right yet. That's all. I'm not saying you're doing things wrong. You're doing the best you can. I do the best I can. Hopefully, we're all trying to do the best that we can in the whole process of like trying to get back into the world and be a part of it. You want to be able to leave. You want to be able to make money. You want to be able to spend that money on stuff you love. I like to travel, so maybe you want to be able to travel and be able to afford a plane ticket. Worry about whether you're going to have a seizure from the change in altitude, the air pressure in the cabin. I mean, you don't know if you haven't tried. But if that is something that you're having a problem with, like you're going to want to know, you know. But you got to do it by exploring. You got to have a plan. Like, what happens when things don't go right? What are you going to do? Who do you call? Are you responsible for yourself? Like, do you need somebody to come pick you up? Like, what are you going to do? You know, just making a plan. Writing all these things down is really important in the whole process of understanding what might give you a seizure when you go out and explore the world. Documenting your life. It's your life. It's like a diary to yourself. It's a story that you're telling that you can share with others about your ups and downs. It's one that you can reflect back on, saying, hey, look, when I go to the bar, I feel amazing until X, Y, and Z. And you realize, like, okay, well, maybe I should find somewhere else to hang out. I'm not saying don't go to the bar. I'm saying do you the best you can, but realize that we're responsible for the outcome. You shouldn't be like demanding people be thrown out of the restaurant just because their kid has sparkly shoes and it makes you uncomfortable. You should figure out how to be in this uncomfortable without making it uncomfortable for everybody else around you. Create an environment that is just as equally loving and accepting of others as you want to be accepted yourself. Man, that's a hard part that people with disabilities, they fight each other. They're like, you have disability like parking spots, and you have people trying to like argue over who deserves the parking spot more, who's more disabled than the other person. And those of us with epilepsy, like sometimes we really need a handicap spot to be able to get to where we need, which is okay. If you need one, it's okay to get one. But because we don't look like we're sick always, like sometimes people gonna give you crap for it. And you gotta expect that and understand that. And you just say I have epilepsy, and maybe sometimes they'll be okay with it. And like usually sometimes they won't. This is the environment, the world. The only thing we can do in this whole process is control ourselves, know what to do when you're in a situation. And oftentimes when you're in a confrontation, the best thing to do is walk away. Don't let them goad you into losing your cool. Don't goad them and let them get you into a fight or flight situation. Just walk away, take a deep breath, realize you've got more important things to do. I'm sure you do. I know sometimes it's a lot of fun to like attack something, and that's why I got a kick bag or a punch bag. I can like walk out my door, go outside, punch my bag a few times, give it a few kicks, some knees, laugh, go about my business, like, but nobody gets hurt in the process. Go to the gym. You can go to the gym, go work out, but don't do it too hard. Realize you might got to take breaks because overdoing it, could be the music, could be the fan, air conditioner blowing on you when you're under a vent. So you gotta be careful with some of these things and make sure that your like neck and shoulders are covered. You put the towel over your neck when you're sitting under that. But realize like if you're having a problem, like that could be an issue. And you just never stop to think about it, which is really important about talking to other people about how they go outside, about how, what they've got to overcome as well in the whole process of trying to, be an epilepsy warrior that is most epic, that is having the best life that you possibly can at whatever level it is without comparing yourself to others, just knowing like this is your adventure, this is your life, this is your chance to adapt, to take meds instead of drugs. So it's your chance to explore the world again. So briefly, before I let you go, this is my introduction to an 8-week course where I'd like to share with you. It's going to be way more of this, but we're going to cover meds RX a little more in depth so that you can build up and learn this process as you're discovering your triggers or how to manage your triggers. We're going to do a boot camp because when you join the Army, they send you to boot camp. They get you ready They put your gun in the hands, you go shoot at the range, you go set up a tent, you go dig a foxhole, like they get you ready, whatever it is, like they get you ready. Right. So that's the whole thing. It gets you ready to start winning wars, be able to fight more effectively. You don't join the army and they don't just be like, all right, there's your gun, go kill things. But that's how a lot of us get treated. Well, I don't want you to feel that way. It's not like, oh, go figure it out on your own. I want you to know that I'm here to help you. So over the next 8 weeks, we're going to go through the meds. We're going to meditate every day for 5 days for the first week together, you know, and that way I find that doing things together helps set the premise, helps set the whole process so that you can build the pattern and carry it through, as opposed to if we just did it once a week and be like, all right, how'd your meditation go? You'd be a whole lot less likely to do it. But I'm willing to show up 5 days a week and do meditation with you for the first 5 days. And the next week, we're going to do Qigong. We're going to do exercises. So you're going to get able to go through the whole aspect of grounding your energy so that you can feel good and then moving it, even if you can't walk out the door. Or you can go do this at the park. I love doing some Tai Chi and Qigong at the beach. It changes things up. It's nice to be grounded in the dirt. But at the same time, like on the sand, like your balance is different, so your movements are different, and so it's nice to be able to just be part of nature and do stuff. So we're gonna do that for 5 days too to help ingrain like these simple 8 exercises you basically do anywhere. It's super, super easy, restorative exercises, And we're gonna go and do diet week 3. I don't know if we need to do 5 days. I was thinking we would probably do like 3, and that'll give you guys a chance to like get an assignment done, on Tuesday, Wednesday. We can do a Friday follow up and make sure that's all figured out about like what's the best diet that not just tastes good, that makes you feel good, and doesn't leave you feeling like you just gave everything up, because that is the worst. It's feeling like you have to give up your best friend, your favorite food. I understand food could be an addiction. It can be healing. It can be nourishing. It can be whatever you want it to be. But if you know how to eat properly, you know what to eat properly. If you got a plan on what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, and even when you go out and explore the world, like where are you going to go eat, and are you going to do fast food? You can do a restaurant. What are you going to do? So we'll discuss like foods. We'll discuss how to feel good using food as medicine. We said probably 3 days a week on that one, possibly 5 if you guys want it. We're gonna cover sleep. Sleep, again, we don't have to do a whole lot. We're gonna do probably 2 days that week, just so that you can put some stuff into practice. You can explore, see how it works. We might do 3 days, like the same thing, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll talk. We're gonna make sure that this works for you, because this is like the first time I'm offering this. And I honestly think that this is the best route to go on how I can best help you take what we've been talking about over the last 4 days and make the magic happen for you so that your dreams can come true of like having a more normal life, of not having a seizure, not spending the rest of your life on the floor in the hospital, an ambulance, whatever. I want you to be the best version of yourself. So, or you said 8 weeks, we're going to cover this meds, we'll cover the sleep. After that, we can talk about relationships. We can discuss relationships. After that, we can discuss supplementation. But you know what? I think it would be amazing to work with you. And actually, how would you like to learn some acupressure? Some acupressure just for epilepsy, right? Some stuff that could help you, that you could do to yourself. That's going to give you amazing effects. It's the same stuff that I do to myself, but I also have needles. So sometimes, I do needles on myself. It's a little scary to teach you needles without first teaching you some acupressure. So you got to start with basics. Let's do acupressure, for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then for our 8th and final week together, we're going to decide. You're going to write it. You're going to tell me what it is that you need to know, what's supplemented to your life, what you need to add. And I'm going to help make sure that you get the success you need. And, honestly, I think this should be like several $1,000s just to do this. It's so much time and effort, and it's just me doing this, but I don't want to charge you like thousands of dollars, even though I know it's worth it. I know it's worth it. I know what I'm worth. I should charge $90 a day just to show up to somebody's house, and then $90 to show up to somebody's house, and then $90 for the acupuncture. So it was literally $180 just to show up to your house for an hour. So since I'm not driving anywhere and we can do this virtually, it's still in my mind like treatments $90 an hour and doing 5 days a week. That's $450 a week easily, right? So that's like $2,000 a month. And if we do this for 2 months, that's like $4,000, right? So I was thinking, how about just because this is like a new process and I'm really excited to get started with this, I don't have a website to send you to yet. So you're gonna have to message me, or hopefully I can get the website done by tomorrow. But what if we did this for $400? It's $200 a month, $400 one-time payment, $400, or we can do a two-time payment of $250. So that way you get a chance, like if 400 is too hard to come up at once, you can do a 2-month payment plan and we'll do this together. So it's super easy. Um, Let me know if you're interested. Again, I'll put a website up soon. It's just been, me working on all of this, trying to figure out how to make this best for you, and been trying to brainstorm like what I can do for you next. Like, what is the best experience that I can provide for you? And that's holding your hand a little bit more. Going deeper into the whole process of how you can be the best version of yourself, how you can do more than the doctor tells you. I mean, you take care of yourself like you matter, because you do. Like, you're alive, you're living, you're so much valuable. If you don't believe your value, like, look up the cost of an organ transplant and realize you are worth more than the cost of all your organs. Like, seriously, it's unreal. Like, you are valuable. Life is precious. There's a lot of people that wish they were still alive, and you're not. You're still here. You're alive. So you can only do this in the present moment. Only now is the only time that you can experience life. Yesterday already happened. Tomorrow isn't here yet. It's always now is the moment. So if you know that now you want some help, now you want to move along, just message me, send me a message. We've got, I know it's working right now, Alma Wayne at myersgood.com. Put it in the chat here real quick. Just message me. I want to be part of the boot camp for epilepsy warriors. All right, let me say info at, no, we're gonna do Alma. Talk to me directly. Alma. I can't spell my own name. That's funny, right? Dyslexic. Wayne at myersgood.com. All right, so I just dropped that in the chat. So hopefully everybody gets that. It says it goes everywhere. Looks good to me. So, all right, just email me right there. I'm gonna put the page together. I'll send you the page as soon as I'm ready for it. We're gonna work together for 8 weeks. We're gonna do this boot camp. I'm gonna give you epilepsy warrior mastery. That way you can like go fight this war and win it. Not feel like you're alone. You don't feel like you're without the skills you need. Let's give you the equivalent of your armor and your rifle so you can go win this war. And it feels like it's all in your head, and sometimes it is, but there's still hope. There's a way out of this. And if you want me to be a part of that process, this is how we're going to do it, and this is what I can do to offer to help you. So seriously, one payment, $400, $397, or 2 payments of $249. And you can get started, and we will work with each other for the next 8 weeks and make sure that you are getting success like you have had nowhere else, with somebody that doesn't just talk about epilepsy, that somebody lives it, somebody that knows what it's like from the inside out, how to go from taking control of the craziness, that nobody wants to understand, how you have to like be better prepared than people without epilepsy. They expect more out of you than they do themselves. So how to deal with yourself, how to be able to show up, be the best version of yourself, how to have better, healthy relationships, and how to be able to enjoy your life when you leave the door, have adventures and go explore. So if you're ready to get it started, drop the email right there. Go ahead, send me an email message, and I'll send you the link as soon as I get it done. So I think we're pretty close to done for today, unless there's any questions. I haven't seen anything here in the chat, so appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here. I love you. I'm sorry that this epilepsy sucks. At some point, when you take control of your life, you're going to be okay with it, and life gets better. That's one thing I really wish somebody would have told me, that life can get better, and it can. And it doesn't always feel like it, but your life can get better. And it helps when you've got somebody that has gone through what you've gone through, that's had similar experiences, that didn't just say, oh, well, F the drugs, I'm special, I'm going to do it without it. I wish it was like that. No, I did this because I had no choice. It was do this or just let my life keep falling apart. And I don't want that for your life either. I don't want your life to just fall apart. I want you to be able to have an amazing, beautiful life full of passion and pleasures. But you got to realize that there's ups and downs to everything in life. Doesn't matter if you have epilepsy or not. Life goes on with or without you. I want you to be a part of life. Jump back into life and join the Epilepsy Secrets Bootcamp. So tomorrow, we're going to go over a little bit more about epilepsy, be able to do it naturally, sometimes combinations of like medications and doing it naturally. But we're going to talk a little deeper about like what you can do, like what other people are doing out there that have taken back control of their life. Because sometimes, maybe you think it's like, oh, just Alma's special. He did it. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm not special. I'm just good at being me. Really good at being me. I'm horrible at being you, but I'm really good at being me. It's like, I'm sure you're horrible at being me, but you can be really good at being you. And if you're not good at being you yet, this is how I'm going to help you do it. This is the best and easiest way to get started. Seriously, $397 for 2 months, 2 payments of $249, and you will be ready to go. And you'll have your life back before you know it. And you'll be so happy that you got started. But don't kick yourself in the butt and say, hey, I messed up. I never took control of my life. 20 years has gone by. Epilepsy sucks. I still don't have a drug for me. I want you to do that. Like, you are the master of your world. Don't let somebody else tell you like how your world is going to turn out. Be the author, write your own story. And tomorrow we're going to continue on this adventure together. So thank you for hanging in here with me. I appreciate you very much. It's been wonderful as always. I'm Owen Myers signing out. And remember, take care of yourself like you matter, because you do.